Yo, what's going on, Latin Wealth family? Welcome to another episode to Wealth Wednesday, a new weekly show that we are putting out specifically focused on trending topics around the world, trending news, and giving you our perspective from the Latino side, right? So, thank you for tuning in to the show. This is episode number 5 or 4, I believe. I'm not too sure, but nonetheless, we've been having a great time with these episodes. And before we get into it, today we have some big topics that we're going to hit on. We're going to hit on the Florida immigration law. We're going to hit on Meta and they're removing rails bonuses, and we're also going to hit on some of the steps that we take to take care of our mental health. Before we get into all that, number one, if you guys can do us a huge favor right now, pause this podcast episode and share this episode with 3 other people that needs to hear any of the shows on the Latin Wealth platform, whether it's Wealth Wednesdays or Friday interviews. Go ahead and pause it, hit share, hit the 3 little dots, text it to somebody, send it to somebody in a Instagram message, or maybe you have a Facebook group. Send it to somebody in our community that needs to hear this information. Obviously, it's going to help with growing this platform, but it's also going to help with this information reaching the right people that needs to hear this information, right? So go ahead and do that for us. And with that being said, my guest for Wealth Wednesday is Jeremiah Ramirez. How you doing, bro? How you feeling?
I'm good, bro. I'm super excited about some of the topics that we have today because sometimes, we kind of have to dig a little deeper to figure out how these topics directly affect us as the Latino culture, right, and as a people. But I think these topics today, they touch on some things, especially the first one, touch on something that's super relative, right, or applicable to us and our people. So I'm
Yeah,
excited.
absolutely. And man, before we get into those heavy topics, I wanna know how you're doing, man. How are you and the family are doing, right? I know I'm not too sure if everybody in the world knows, right? You keep it kind of hush hush with your personal, which is phenomenal. But I know you've told me that you've welcomed a new baby girl into the world. I'd love for you to talk about your experience recently, what you've been learning about yourself, and yeah.
You know what's funny though, Chris, is that my first child was a son. And any father, obviously, that makes you
Mhm.
proud, right? The legacy carries on, things like that. And my son is a phenomenal example of me, like a little twin, right? Um, and as you're growing up, I would say that growing up as a father, especially when you're young and you start off a little bit young and you have a son, it's a little bit easier because there's some things that you can kind of maybe skip out on, and kind of,
Mhm.
he's a boy, so
Yeah.
all you fall down, you just come on, boy, get up. Now total opposite when it comes to a daughter,
Mm,
but life altering, life changing for as a father. You get more in touch with the affectionate side of yourself. And so there's always been something, there's duality in every life, and I'm gonna try to just keep it light, but basically, yin and yang,
mhm,
right? So even within you as a person, you have yin and yang. You don't want too much of one or the other, right? Because then you're out of balance. So having my daughter's just been able to put you more on that affectionate side, being able to understand that everything can't be solved with
mm,
yelling or screaming. You have to
mm,
think of how to, reshape things. You reshape your mind, you evolve as a person. The conversation that you have, that you have to have a different conversation with a young lady. It can't be the
mm,
cursing and the yelling and getting all upset and stuff. You have to think of how to actively listen, and how to apply that stuff to creating that relationship with you and her so that she feels comfortable.
mm,
So for me, it's totally reshaped my thought
mm,
process. And so, as a father, not only just a person, but as a father, it's taught me that you got to step your game
mm.
up, man. You got to level up.
Man, that's beautiful.
Man, yeah, life awesome. Yeah,
Man, that's beautiful. So, I mean, one thing that I'll share from my perspective, since you having, your daughter is, since I met you, like you said, you've always been very even kill, as you love to say. You've been even kill. You're not too high, not too low. You just spoke about it with the yin and yang. But I have to say, since you've had her, I feel like there's been a different glow about you. There's been a little bit more excitement, some more smiles. You know what I'm saying? Which has been great. Yeah,
I
you know what
agree.
I'm saying. So, I love to see it. Either way, I think it's great. But it's dope to see, like, yo, every time I talk to you, I get on the phone with you or we start these conversations, you're just like, man, life is great. Like, you can't, like, life is great. You know what I'm saying? So I love to see that.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
always. No, it's been like I said, it's been life altering, man. And like you said, that glow is just being an internal happiness, man,
Mm,
that you get from just being around your child and seeing them grow, seeing them develop. Can't replace
yeah.
it. So for
Yeah.
sure. I appreciate
Yes,
that
sir.
though.
Yes, sir. Love that. With that being said, we can start jumping into our topics. And one of the biggest topics that we have for today is the Florida immigration bill. It has become law. This article I was reading, it wasn't law just yet, but it has become a law, and a bill has been signed into law by Governor DeSantis that suppresses illegal immigrants in the state of Florida. Right. So the immigration bill calls for increase employment verification requirements, which I think if you have over 20 employees or 24 employees, they need to be
25.
25
25.
employees that need
Yeah.
to be verified that they are
Hmm.
U.S. citizen. They discourage citizens from transporting illegal immigrants. They require hospitals to report on costs related to treating illegal immigrants. They ban Florida use of driver's license issues them in other states. And there's a couple other things. Please chime in if I'm missing anything, Jeremiah. But a lot of these things are directed towards immigrants that come into Florida, come into the United States. And as you guys know, in Florida, a lot of immigrants come from the Caribbean. So you're talking about Haiti, Cuba, DR, even to South
Hmm.
America and Central America. A lot of Latinos they go to Florida and hope for opportunities, right? And
Yeah.
it's been crazy. It's going to be very interesting to see how this all plays out. I mean, this law could really bring Florida's economy to a halt. Like, let's be honest, you've seen videos
For sure.
of construction sites empty. You've seen, these fields in Florida that are completely empty, right? And thousands of immigrants
Yeah.
are leaving the state of Florida. They need to provide for their family, right? And they can't do it in Florida. They're going to simply leave. So, man, what's going on in your opinion? It's crazy that this has been signed. In addition to put the cherry on the top of all this, DeSantis is also running for president in 2024. So we'll see how that plays out.
I mean, for me, Chris, I think that everything that you just said, the little points and everything, I think that everything just points in the direction of being led or being the underlying cause being that DeSantis is running for
Mm,
president. He, I'm not here. We're not
right,
political or
right.
anything, but obviously the GOP or Republican Party, they're very strict on
Hmm.
immigration, right? They just say do it the right way, pay and go through all of those various things. Now, we all know, especially for us Latinos, is when you're coming from a certain background or coming from these countries, you don't have the finances to do that, right? You're
Hmm.
just trying to get to America to live a better dream. The sign behind me says it was all a dream, and it
Hmm.
is usually all a dream for people when they come over here, and a lot of people work hard and they do jobs that, honestly, let's be real. Most of us Americans, we don't want to do
That's a
those
fact.
jobs. We're not going to go work out in the farm, in the field for hours upon hours,
Yeah.
heat just burning you. Like, these people are hardworking people and they have families and they want love. They want to live the American dream just like anybody else. And what's crazy is there's 800,000 undocumented workers in Florida. Now,
Wow.
probably about 62% of those are in the agricultural background, right? So you're talking about the oranges, right, which is
Hmm.
super huge and crucial in Florida's agricultural background. You're talking about anything that uses farmland. These guys are looking to undocumented workers because, obviously, let's be honest, you can pay them a lower wage, but let's be realistic. Who wants to go, like, what Americans want to go take those jobs? So it's not as if they're taking jobs from people that want to go and do those jobs, right? And you said mentioning throughout also Haiti as well, obviously, in the Belle Glade area in California. Excuse me, in Florida, there's a huge population of Haitians, almost a whole
Hmm.
city. So it's like all of these people, they're trying to provide for their family. Where do they
Hmm.
go? The employers. are now being charged. They're being fined $1,000 a
Mm,
day, man. Chris, you believe that $1,000 a day, bro, just for if you were found to have immigrants, right, or employing them or helping them, harboring them, as they call it, $1,000 a day fine.
mm-mm.
And so businesses are looking at, how do I operate? Now I have to totally shift my budget. Think about it. The year just started. We're in May, right? You're in the second quarter of the year. You have to totally shift your entire budget because you allotted a certain amount of money for overhead that you're going to pay the workers. Now, what if you have to go and find American
Mhm.
staff or temporary workers? You're going to have to pay them two to three
Yeah.
times, right? 2 to 3x what you were paying the undocumented. So it totally shifts your budget. Now, is your business even going to stay
Yeah.
valid? Like, is it going to stay profitable?
Yeah.
That's what I'm looking at, man. It's crazy. So, Chris, with all this going on, what do you think? Do you think that, like for me, because I think that it's more about DeSantis being a president and obviously his background being, more of a Republican, he's feeding his base, right? But what's your thoughts on it? Like, do you think that there's going to be there's a resolution to it? What's the reason all of this is happening? And what's your thoughts?
Man, it's really interesting. That's a great question. It's really interesting to me because some of these decisions, like I just have to sit back and ask myself, do they not look at the repercussions of what could possibly happen if you put a bill into play that suppresses, Florida is one of the states that has the most immigrants, right?
Yeah,
So I mean, I don't know, man. It's interesting to see. And what I try to do is obviously with doing the research on this topic, the vast majority of the people disagree with it. We all feel for the immigrants that have to leave the state that don't have a job. And actually, I didn't know that each job is being fined $1,000. That's crazy. It's like, man, that's nuts. But what I was gonna say is, I try to find. I always want to play devil's advocate to see what's on the other side, to see what other people on the other side are thinking, right? And of course, I came across an American who made a video where they believe it's, and I'm just playing devil's advocate. Don't shoot the messenger. They believe basically what you said, like, hey, we're willing to go in there and we're willing to do the work. And obviously, he just didn't believe that there should be any illegal immigrants in the United States. And he was saying, like, look, we have to fight tooth and nail to win the bids for these jobs. And it's like, how can they compete when the immigrant has a team of individuals that they don't have to pay taxes to, that they can just pay them all underneath the table, and they're going to come in and they're going to undercut them, right, and do the job a lot cheaper. So his thing was, he agreed with it, and there's Americans that are willing to do the job, but like you said, um, I think that's a very selective group of individuals that are willing to do that job, and the people that are willing to do that job, like you said, you're gonna have to pay them 3-4 times more to do that job, man. And it's just it's crazy. I honestly don't know how this is gonna play out. I think this could possibly have a huge negative effect on Florida's economy, but only
sure.
time will tell. I think.
I think it's going to be counterproductive to DeSantis and what his thought process is. This isn't the Disney thing, that he had going on where he's battling Disney and everything. This is this reaches this reaches very large economic proportions. And what I mean by that is he's going to find that a lot of his base in Florida, right, are in that area in the farmland, very conservative farmers, right, hardworking people. But they're drawing the line now, and they're like, dude, now you've affected, right? You've affected my income with this law. Like we all know that the immigrants are here, and so I think it's gonna be counterproductive to him. I think it's gonna cost him votes actually in his own state, right? So if you
Yeah.
were thinking about making that presidential run that he's trying to make, obviously you'd want to win your own state. The second thing is
Yeah.
in reference to the conversation with the American that made the comment and said, "Hey, they're taking, we're bidding with these contracts, and we're getting undercut because you don't have to pay taxes, all these things, right?" Here's the thing, and they don't believe there should be any immigrants. I got it. So here's what's funny though. Um, if that same question, and I'm being the devil's advocate the other way, so if that same
Mhm.
question was posted to the Native Americans who were already here, right? Who, when
Mm.
people came over, we were immigrants to them,
Mm.
right? Was there a law, or were they asked if how they felt about people coming over and stealing their land, or also? And
Hell no.
obviously, I'm not here to get political. I'm just saying, it's kind of, it's kind of, it's a slippery
No,
slope, right?
for sure,
If
for
that's what
sure.
we're saying, then our families aren't really from here originally either. So how does
Hmm.
that work? So
Hmm.
I think people really need to take it into consideration. People feel they get entitled, right? You live here and you start to get
That's what
entitled.
it
You feel
is.
a certain type of way,
That's what
and
it
you don't
is.
understand what it was like 250 or 300 years ago when your ancestors came from Ireland, right? Because of the potato blight, or they came from Italy with DeSantis, right? Because
Hmm.
his grandparents and great grandparents are all from Italy, from Tuscany. So you forget what it's like for you to come over and just have that American dream. I feel
Mm.
like people need to, get reconnect with that and understand that everyone's just trying to make a better life for their family. And that whole people are racist, rapists, and all this other dude. There's 800K undocumented workers in Florida alone, and you don't have that high of a crime rate. So
Mm.
what does that say? That says the majority of these people come over and they just want to work and live their life.
That's funny that you brought that up because that was one of his points that we should be worried about other things that yeah, man, it's crazy. But you said 800,000. That's just
800K.
man, that's crazy, man. That's
There's
just
no way this doesn't turn out like this. This is totally rewriting history in Florida. Like there's
mm,
no way this doesn't change everything. This is monumental, and we'll see
mm.
how it turns out though. Yeah,
Wow, crazy. So, as always, we'll leave to the link to some of the articles that we were reading on this subject. You guys
for
just
sure.
obviously do your education, look into it a little bit more, and then we'll definitely keep you guys posted on what happens with this, what happens with the economy, specifically in Florida, and how it may even affect the United States as well. We'll keep you guys updated on that. Um, to transition a little bit, um, something else that's being cut off is Meta, also known as Facebook, who owns Instagram, will stop offering real bonuses to creators on Facebook and Instagram. So if you guys are not familiar with Reels, it's basically the vertical form, short form content that you guys create or that you guys consume. So again, it's the vertical form, and yeah, so it says that Meta is pausing its program to pay bonuses to creators for making reels and hitting specific benchmarks. So what it means by that is, if I'm not mistaken, and it's not like they were paying creators a whole lot. Let's be honest. Like you had to hit 1 million or 10 million views
It was
on,
crazy
yeah,
numbers.
like you
It
had to
was
hit
crazy.
something
Man. It was
absurd
like,
to
come
get
on,
like
man.
to make like $100, or I don't know. I don't know this very
Yeah,
specifics, but the
yeah.
program was originally introduced in 2021 and it incentivized creators to generate more short form content. Now, that's fair. And I feel for all the creators out there is that maybe we're making a living off of, the reels, the bonuses and whatnot. But this is what I'll say about, I'm speaking to the creators out there and anybody in business. I think that we just need to continue to spread ourselves across all platforms, right? I
Hmm.
believe the days of being hyper focused on one platform is over. So, what I mean by that is 2018, 2019, even 2020, you have a lot of creators that were hyper focused on just YouTube or just TikTok or just the other platform that's not as used as much as, I think it's called Thriller or Triller or something like that. It's similar to TikTok, but nonetheless, I don't believe the days of you putting all your eggs in one basket is a strategy anymore. I think we're living in a time where you have to almost spread yourself thin. It's almost a better strategy to post on TikTok, to post on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube as well. Um, yeah, I mean that's what I'll say. Especially with the talks of TikTok being banned and Meta stopping their bonus program. It goes back to investing. I think diversifying is always going to be your best move. Is always going to be the best play for you. Um, and I think the other thing is sometimes as creators we rely too much on the platform to incentivize us to create content when we
Yeah,
should be incentivizing ourselves. to make
I agree.
content, right?
I agree.
Um, yeah, like I said, I feel for the people that potentially were making a living off these bonuses or whatever the case is. There are other ways to make money within these platforms. Like if you go on live, people can pay for those badges and whatnot. But this to me just shows that you need to be spreading yourself thin across all platforms, especially when you're looking to create short form content.
I would agree, and I think that a lot of people don't really utilize social media the way that they should. Chris, connecting with you, is my brother. I'm like, man, that's my little brother. Man, I feel like super blessed because I have someone like you who understands the podcast game. You understand the reels, you understand shorts, you understand content, right? How to post different things, and I love that I'm able to pick your brain and you can help that. A lot of people don't have that though, right? And so I think what ends up happening is people cling to whatever platform is most comfortable for them.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever is most
Mm-hmm.
user friendly for them, they just kind of lean into that. And I think, like you said, this is cause for diversification. It's no different than if we're talking finances and you're looking at your portfolio and you only put your money in Tesla, bro. You've been
Mm-hmm.
hurting, right? Because
Heard.
up until now, because Elon just decided he's going right, but you've been hurting. But if you had your money spread across different indices and different money, and it's the same thing with this, like you want to, just like you said, don't have all your eggs in one basket. Learn multiple platforms, right? Learn how to connect your social media sites. Learn how to connect all of them. Meta, I mean, come on, Meta has WhatsApp, Facebook,
Mm,
Instagram, right? Like connect those three. So anytime you post one,
exactly.
it'll stream and post, instantaneously across all three of them,
Fact.
and you're going to increase your reach. And so these are just simple things I think people got to think about. And then branding. You and I talk about
Mm,
all the time. We're looking at Aladdin Wealth. You redid it. You redid the logo. It's up to date. It just looks way more applicable, right? Okay, so you were thinking about the branding, how far this thing is going to go. What could I use, and how does it have put my touch on it? And so people have to start thinking about that as well. There's like, think about it. Cardi B with Fashion Nova, right? She started
mm-hmm.
wearing it and tagging them, and then they started paying her for it. Like, there's other ways to make money, right?
For
And
sure.
if you have a massive amount of following, people should pay you for promotion. People could pay you
Yeah.
to wear their clothes. There's all these sorts of things to do. But like you said, you got to dig in and focus on building your brand and
Mm.
incentivizing yourself and creating that image and letting people know that you bring value.
No, I love that. And so, just to add on to what you were saying, you said, look, if you can connect WhatsApp, Facebook, and Instagram and post one post on all platforms, do that. But also, look back at, I think, 2 episodes ago where we did an episode on AI, where there's
Yep.
different
Yep.
AI tools and AI platform that can
Yep.
help you with your creative process and shorten that time. Maybe it used to take you 5 hours to make 10 pieces of content. Now you can use the AI platform that can do it for you in 10 minutes, right? So that diversification applies to not only investing business, but also building your brand and creating content on social media as well. Hey, it's something that we're definitely working on as well on Latin Wealth. Posting on or even LinkedIn. LinkedIn, but
LinkedIn.
I was just gonna mention TikTok, Instagram, all platforms, right? So, obviously, when it comes to like the Twitters and the LinkedIn's of the world, they're not too big on short form content. They're more written
Right.
content, blogs, articles, things like that. But
Right.
nonetheless, like Jeremiah said, take the time to learn it, right? And to spread yourself across all platforms. Again, I think the idea of spreading yourself thin is actually a good strategy. Just post a little bit on each platform and see which one works the best. I think is the strategy, in my opinion, right? It's what I'm doing, and it's what other big creators are doing as well. And so, we're learning from the biggest ones.
I agree. I think the days of when it comes to social media and posting, the Mississippi River theory, right? You
Mm,
build up that one thing to be super, super strong, and then everything
mhm,
else feeds off of that. I think those days are gone now because there's so much access to so many different things. And let's
mhm.
be honest, people's attention span is 8 seconds,
8 seconds.
right? That's the whole point of having the reels because a long video, they're just
Mm,
scrolling on to something else. What
mhm,
do? You learn the hook, right? You learn the hook. There's the story, right? There's the solution. There's the connect, right? So you learn those pieces and you do all that within 30 seconds. And so what does it do? It keeps them engaged, right? And it keeps
Hmm.
them focusing. And then you're spreading that across different platforms, which attracts different demographics.
Yep.
LinkedIn, actually, I started seeing people on LinkedIn posting short
Yeah.
content. Like
Yep.
I'm like, okay, so it's happening here too.
Yep.
More
Absolutely.
professional based, but it was happening. So yeah, 100%.
Yep. Love that. Love that. Earlier, you mentioned picking your brain, and so this
Yeah.
last thing that we want to talk about, we have a couple more minutes, is mental health. Just real quick, we talk a lot about news. We talk a lot about like banks failures and recessions and
Hmm,
all this stuff. It can have an effect on your mental health. Let's be honest. The immigration
for
law
sure.
can make you feel a type of way, right? And
For sure.
so the first thing that we never want to do on this show is create fear-based content.
Not at
We
all.
always want to get you quality information. We always want to give you it from our perspective, but we always want to make sure that you guys can take tangible steps to improve your life, your financial life, as much as possible. So, mental health, real quick. How do we take care of our mental health? What are a couple things that we do as individuals to take care of our mental health? And mental health, this could be a whole 2 hour discussion, let's be honest, especially for the Latino community where we just work ourselves to the ground. Let's be honest, and we don't talk about it. We're gonna talk
True.
about it on the show. So I'm gonna go into two different things that I do to work on my mental health and take care of myself. Now, obviously, and I don't want to take it away from you, Jeremiah, but like working out is a phenomenal way to take care of your mental health. But I wanted to go a
100%.
different way. So for me, number one is I'm gonna say get in the right room. So what do I mean by that? I'm simply saying number one, like I go to therapy. I'm in the room with a
Hmm.
therapist, right? Talking through
Hmm.
some of the things that I've gone through in my life, talking through my emotions, and just talking through how I can deal with things better, right? Number two, when I mean get in the right room, this is the shameless plug. We have a men's group that we're a part of, right? Where we go in, and I'm gonna be honest, it's like therapeutic for me to go in there, fellowship with like-minded men, talk about growth,
Very much
talk
so.
about getting better. It's phenomenal, right? And it honestly helps me decompress. And it's one of those things where while I'm in therapy, while I'm in the men's group, I'm not thinking about anything else but just getting better and just being there for my brothers, right? So that's number one, get in the right room for myself. Number two is practicing gratitude has been huge for me. Waking up every single morning, whether it's writing down 5, 10 things that I'm grateful for, or just thanking God for every little thing that I have, and just being grateful is something that helped me out a lot. I would challenge you guys out there. If you're more of a negative person, or if you kind of wake up on the wrong side of the bed, before you check social media, before you check your emails, write down or say 10 things that you're grateful for, or 10 things positive about yourself. A lot of times we can't even think of 10 things positive to say about ourselves or about our lives. So that should be a challenge for some of you guys out there. Those are two ways I take care of my mental health: getting in the right room and practicing gratitude. Jeremiah, it's all you, bro.
Appreciate it, bro. I mean, piggybacking off of yours before I get into mine, obviously, I want to say something. If you had a friend that talked to you the way you talk to yourself, because 85% of our conversation is mental and it's us. So if you had a friend that talked to you the way you talk to yourself, you wouldn't be friends with that person. So super important
Whoa.
as conversations, man. You wouldn't be
Whoa.
friends with them.
That's a
Okay.
bar.
So it's
That's a
very true.
bar.
Uh,
That's a bar.
Number one,
I'm
if
stealing
you're
that.
mental health, journaling, right?
Yeah.
Journal. Get you a notebook. Get the phone. Phone has the audio recorder, right? Journal. Get it out. Because here's the thing: it's better to vent to your phone or vent to a notebook than to vent to someone that's going to run and tell your business, post it on Facebook, go tell somebody else, right? So journaling. Make sure that you're journaling. There's multiple different ways to do it, but journaling helps you get the emotion out. A lot of times, if we could just simply journal, you can get the emotion out, and then you start thinking logically again, right? You know, make certain decisions. If you're upset and you feel like you're going to make a bad decision, what should you do? You should take a step back, go journal, right? Give it about 2 hours. And then if you still make that decision after that, okay, maybe that was the right decision. But usually you give it a little time, you're like, that ain't the best decision, right? So journaling. Number two thing that I do is meditation. Some
Mm,
people call it prayer.
mm-hmm,
Some people call it supplication. It doesn't matter what you do. Chanting, right?
mm,
I don't care what religion you are. I'm not here for that. All love is love, but meditation in some form, right? Getting centered, closing your eyes, taking the time, as you said, in that spirit of gratitude, connecting, right, with your inner self, your higher self, right? Take that time. Take the time. Please take the time before you start your day or whenever you do it. Maybe that's not the best time for you. Maybe it's lunchtime. You got to get yourself in a place and you get right in a quiet place and you can get it together, but it doesn't have to be prayer. You could just sit quiet and just be in stillness, right? Ease your mind. I
mm.
promise you it's going to help you to be more centered. And so when those decisions or someone comes to bother you, they've been annoying you all day, instead of cussing them out or doing something crazy, you'll think twice, right? You'll take a breath and you'll say, hey, maybe, and you'll respond in a different way and you'll respond in a better way. So that's the two things: journaling, right? Number one, in every way that you, and however you do that, and then meditation.
Love it. Love it. Yo, Latin Wealth family, if you guys enjoyed this episode, please share this episode with three other people. Text this episode to somebody, drop it in the Facebook group. We really want to grow this thing to be honest, I'm going to say it right now, we want to grow this as the number one platform for Latinos to come to for wealth, entrepreneurship, business, investing, even health, mental health. We want to build this up that big. Help us out by getting there by simply sharing this with three other people. With that being said, stay tuned to this Friday's interview with the Latinas that came from Central America and made
Wow.
a very successful business for her and her family. So stay tuned for that episode, and we'll be back next Wednesday. And it's your boy Chris. We'll catch you next week. Peace.